Welcome to this video on how to become an SDET in 90 days. In this roadmap, we will walk through the skills, tools, automation framework, CI/CD workflow, and portfolio projects that can help a beginner build practical automation engineering capability. An SDET, or Software Development Engineer and Test, is not just someone who clicks through applications manually. An SDET writes code, designs automated tests, validates user interfaces and APIs, builds reusable test frameworks, and helps engineering teams release software with better confidence. This 90-day plan is designed as an intensive learning sprint. It can help you build strong portfolio evidence, but it should not be treated as a guaranteed job promise. Before we jump into the roadmap, let us set the right expectation so the learning path stays honest and practical. Now that we have introduced the SDET roadmap, let us clarify the Publish Safe roadmap expectation. A 90-day sprint can help you build practical skills, complete portfolio projects, and prepare for realistic QA automation or junior SDET opportunities. But it does not guarantee that every learner will get hired in exactly 90 days. The realistic goal is to build evidence, code repositories, test scripts, API automation, a framework structure, CI pipeline runs, reports, and clear documentation. The roadmap also avoids unsupported claims. We will not say that one tool alone makes someone an SDET, and we will not use salary or hiring numbers without verified data. A better way to think about this plan is simple. In 12 focused weeks, you can become prepared to demonstrate automation skills professionally. With that expectation clear, let us understand what an SDET actually does in a real engineering environment. So, what does an SDET actually do? An SDET designs automated tests for user interfaces, APIs, services, and integrations. The role combines programming, testing, debugging, reporting, and collaboration with development teams. Instead of writing random scripts, an SDET builds maintainable automation frameworks. These frameworks help teams run tests repeatedly, identify defects faster, and get feedback before changes reach users. For example, if a login feature is changed, an SDET may automate a test that opens the browser, enters credentials, verifies the result, checks related API behavior, and records evidence if the test fails. The important point is that an SDET thinks like a developer, but focuses on quality. Now that we understand the role, let us break the job into the main skill stack you need to build. Now, let us look at the SDET skill stack. The first layer is programming. You need enough coding skill to write functions, organize logic, debug errors, and work with data. The second layer is UI automation. This includes browser automation with tools such as Selenium and Playwright. The third layer is API testing, because strong automation engineers do not rely only on the browser. They also validate service behavior using REST APIs, HTTP methods, JSON payloads, and automated checks. The fourth layer is framework architecture. This includes page object model, Pytest fixtures, reusable utilities, configuration, and reporting. The fifth layer is CI/CD. Your tests should not live only on your laptop. They should run in a delivery workflow, such as GitHub Actions. Finally, you need professional skills: debugging, explaining failures, handling flaky tests, communicating defects, and documenting your work. With this skill stack in mind, let us see how the 12-week roadmap is organized. Now that we know the skill stack, let us look at the 12-week roadmap overview. The first month focuses on programming and UI automation. You learn Python fundamentals, basic object-oriented programming, and how to automate browser actions. The second month focuses on framework and API testing. You move away from messy, standalone scripts and start building a maintainable automation structure using page object model and Pytest. You also learn REST API testing with Postman and Python automation. The third month focuses on CI/CD and portfolio polish. You learn Git, GitHub, GitHub Actions, reports, README documentation, and interview preparation. The roadmap moves from learning syntax to building tests to proving your work in a professional portfolio. Let us begin with the first 2 weeks, Python Foundations. During weeks 1 and 2, the focus is Python Foundations. The goal is not to become an advanced software engineer in 2 weeks. The goal is to become comfortable with the programming logic required for test automation. Start with variables, conditions, loops, functions, lists, dictionaries, strings, files, and exceptions. These concepts appear again and again when you automate test data, validate responses, loop through records, and handle failures. Practice with 20 to 30 beginner coding exercises. For example, write a function that validates login input, then test that function with valid and invalid values. Also practice debugging. Read error messages, use print statements carefully, and learn how to isolate the line that caused the failure. Once basic programming feels less intimidating, the next step is to understand object-oriented programming and clean test code. After learning Python basics, let us talk about OOP and clean test code. Object-oriented programming helps you organize automation code into reusable structures. You should understand classes, objects, methods, inheritance, and composition at a practical level. In test automation, this becomes important when you build page classes, API client classes, utilities, and reusable test helpers. Clean code is equally important. Use clear names, small functions, readable assertions, and meaningful error messages. Avoid copying the same locator or logic into many test files. A simple rule is this: bad automation hides the problem, while good automation explains the problem clearly. Once your code is organized, you are ready to apply it to web UI automation. During weeks 3 and 4, the focus becomes web UI automation. Start with Selenium for a short period so you understand WebDriver, browser drivers, locators, weights, and the traditional automation model. Then move into Playwright for modern end-to-end automation practice. Playwright provides strong locator support, built-in waiting behavior, browser contexts, screenshots, traces, and test runner integration. Your practice should include opening a browser, navigating to a test application, logging in, filling forms, clicking buttons, validating messages, and capturing evidence when something fails. The goal is not to automate everything on day 1. The goal is to understand the flow. Open the application, locate the element, perform an action, assert the result, and capture evidence. Once you can automate a browser, the next challenge is making that automation reliable. Now that you can write UI automation scripts, let us focus on reliable locators and flakiness control. A test that passes once but fails randomly is not a strong test. Modern automation is judged by stability. Use resilient locators when possible, such as accessible roles, labels, visible text, stable attributes, or agreed test IDs. Avoid brittle locators that depend on long absolute XPath expressions or unstable page structure. Also avoid random sleep statements. A better approach is to use framework weights, web-first assertions, and clear conditions that match what the user expects to see. Flaky tests often come from timing problems, weak locators, unstable test data, environment issues, or test order dependency. When a test fails, ask, did the application fail, or did the automation fail to wait, locate, or isolate data correctly? After learning reliability, it is time to move from individual scripts into framework architecture. During weeks 5 and 6, we move into framework architecture. This is where you stop writing messy, standalone scripts and start building a maintainable automation framework. One important design pattern is the page object model. A page object separates test cases from page-specific locators and actions. If a login button changes, you update the login page class instead of changing many test files. A professional framework usually includes folders for tests, pages, utilities, test data, configuration, reports, and documentation. Keep assertions in the tests and reusable page actions in the page classes. Add screenshots, logs, and reports so failures are easier to understand. Once the framework structure is clear, you need a test runner that can execute your tests properly. That brings us to Pytest. Now let us discuss Pytest execution and reporting. Pytest helps you organize and run tests professionally. It supports assertions, fixtures, parameterization, markers, and reporting through plugins or CI output formats. Fixtures are especially useful because they manage setup and teardown. For example, a fixture may open a browser before a test and close it after the test finishes. Parameterization lets you run the same test logic with multiple users, inputs, roles, or environments. Markers help separate smoke tests, regression tests, API tests, UI tests, and slow tests. Reports make your work visible. A hiring manager should be able to see not only your code, but also how the tests ran and what the results looked like. After learning framework execution, the next step is API and service layer testing. During weeks 7 and 8, the focus shifts to API and service layer testing. A strong automation engineer does not test everything through the browser. Many important validations are faster and more stable at the API layer. Start by learning REST concepts, resources, HTTP methods, status codes, headers, request bodies, response bodies, and JSON payloads. Use Postman to explore APIs manually. Send GET, POST, PUT, patch, and delete requests. Observe the response status, headers, body, and error messages. Then automate those checks using Python requests or a reusable API client layer inside your framework. A practical API test flow is simple. Send the request, receive the response, assert the expected behavior, and report the result. Once you understand the basic API flow, let us look at the common patterns your API tests should cover. Now, let us examine automated API test patterns. The first pattern is positive testing. This verifies that a valid request returns the expected response. The second pattern is negative testing. This verifies that invalid input returns the correct error message or status code. The third pattern is authentication testing. For example, an unauthorized request should be rejected. The fourth pattern is data validation. You may verify that JSON fields exist, values match expected rules, and response structures remain consistent. The fifth pattern is request chaining. Sometimes one API response provides an ID or token that is needed for the next request. The sixth pattern is cleanup. If your test creates data, the framework should clean it up when possible. These patterns help you move from simple API calls to meaningful service layer automation. Next, we need to talk about test data, database checks, and choosing the right testing layer. After API testing, let us discuss test data, database, and service thinking. Good automation does not only click buttons or send requests, it also controls the conditions around the test. You should understand setup and teardown, repeatable test data, safe sample accounts, and test environments. Without controlled data, tests become unstable. Basic SQL is also useful. You do not need to become a database administrator, but you should understand select, where, simple joins, and basic validation queries. You should also learn when to test through the UI, API, database, or logs. The best test layer depends on what behavior you are trying to prove. A useful principle is choose the lowest reliable layer that proves the behavior you care about. Once your test logic is stronger, you need to manage your code like a real engineering project. That brings us to Git and GitHub. During weeks 9 and 10, the focus is Git and GitHub Workflow. Enterprise testing does not happen in isolated files on a laptop. Automation code is version controlled, reviewed, and executed as part of the development process. Learn the basic workflow. Clone a repository, create a branch, commit changes, push the branch, open a pull request, and respond to review feedback. Write meaningful commit messages. Keep your README clean. Explain how to install dependencies, run tests, view reports, and understand the folder structure. This is also a portfolio signal. A clean repository shows how you think, not only what you wrote. Once your code is in GitHub, the next step is running it automatically through GitHub Actions. Now let us look at the GitHub Actions CI/CD pipeline. A strong portfolio should prove that your tests can run automatically after code changes. In GitHub Actions, you create a workflow file under the .github workflows folder. The workflow can trigger when code is pushed or when a pull request is opened. The pipeline may check out the repository, install Python dependencies, install browser dependencies, run Pytest or Playwright tests, and upload reports, screenshots, traces, or logs. The basic CI flow is push, install, test, and report. This does not require a complicated enterprise setup. Even a simple working pipeline can show that you understand modern delivery workflow. Now that we have covered the core technical path, let us add one modern productivity topic: responsible use of AI in QA automation. Modern QA productivity with AI can help, but it must be used responsibly. AI can assist with generating test ideas, explaining failure messages, drafting edge cases, summarizing logs, improving README documentation, or suggesting a starting point for code. However, AI should not be treated as an unchecked automation author. You must review every locator, assertion, test data assumption, generated script, and explanation. Also, never expose confidential data. Do not paste credentials, customer information, private source code, or sensitive logs into unapproved AI tools. The best mindset is this: AI can speed up thinking, but the SDET still owns correctness, maintainability, and risk. After learning the technical skills, framework, CI, and responsible AI habits, you need to package everything into a portfolio capstone. Now let us design the portfolio capstone architecture. Your portfolio should not look like random snippets. It should show one complete testing system. Start with a practice application. Add UI tests for important user journeys. Add API tests for service level validation. Organize the code with page object model, utilities, configuration, and test data. Then add a GitHub Actions pipeline that runs the tests automatically and produces reports or artifacts. Your README should explain the project objective, tech stack, setup steps, how to run the tests, how to view reports, and what design decisions you made. A strong capstone proves that you understand not only automation code, but also structure, reliability, reporting, and maintainability. Once the portfolio exists, the next challenge is explaining it clearly in interviews and on your resume. Now let us look at interview and resume positioning. Your resume should describe your labs as hands-on projects, not as professional production experience if you have not worked in that role yet. Use accurate language, such as Python automation, Playwright Selenium fundamentals, Pytest framework, page object model, API testing, GitHub Actions, CI pipeline, test reports, and defect documentation. Prepare for common interview topics: framework architecture, locator strategy, Flaky-Test handling, API validation, test data, Git workflow, CI execution, and the bug lifecycle. Consider this interview question. The interviewer asks, how do you handle flaky tests? A strong candidate may answer, I first check whether the issue is timing, locator stability, test data, environment, or a real product defect. Then I fix the root cause instead of hiding the failure. This type of answer shows practical thinking. Now let us close the roadmap with a final action plan. Finally, let us summarize the SDET 90-day roadmap and the next step. The path is simple: understand, build, prove, and apply. Understand Python, testing concepts, browser automation, API testing, framework structure, Git, and CI/CD. Build one complete automation project with UI tests, API tests, page object model, Pytest, reports, and GitHub Actions. Prove your work through a clean README, organized code, test reports, pipeline runs, and a portfolio explanation. Then apply to realistic roles, such as QA automation engineer, junior SDET, test automation engineer, or automation-focused QA roles. You do not need to know everything before starting. Start with one project, make it clean, document it clearly, and use it to explain how you think as an automation engineer. For structured technology learning and career-focused guidance, you can explore IT Learn 360. Thank you for watching this guide on becoming an SDET through an accelerated 90-day roadmap. I hope this plan helps you take your first practical step toward automation engineering.